So what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Robert. If this is your first time tuning in. So today we're going to talk about how are some ways to make some money with raw land. There's many different ways you can do this. Some are going to require some upfront investment, some upfront capital. Some are going to be pretty passive, and some you can actually get the other people to pay for it, and you can just reap the rewards for owning the land. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into it. My name is Robert. If you gain any value from this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this video. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So first one I'm going to talk about is how you can typically, sometimes, depending, it's very rare, but it does happen occasionally, and how you can get a free water well drilled on your property, and you can also make some money for this. So sometimes if there are some oil field companies that are needing water for whatever drilling operations they're going to be doing locally, maybe even close to your property, generally close to your property, these oil field companies are typically going to be looking for people to supply water for them. So they can't just take typically any kind of water. It has to be a sufficient amount of water. Finding that sufficient amount of water is sometimes hard for them. So again, in rare cases, sometimes they are willing to drill a well for someone. They can also drill it for you and pay you for using your water underground. That's typically how it goes. Is typically they will drill it for you and they will pay you for it. Now, again, these are kind of rare ways to get it done. The most common way is if you already have a well drilled, maybe an irrigation well that pumps out, 100 gallons per minute or more. Typically they will pay you to use your water. They will pay you to run piping from your well to their well site, or they will pay you to have trucks, 18-wheelers, tanker trucks, haul water to their location. So that's usually the most common ways. They will just pay you to use your water because you already have a water well drilled there. The other ways are a little bit rarer and they aren't as common, but it is a possibility. It's just a lot less seen. But that's usually the most common way. Is if you have a well already on your property, if you have land, you can make quite a bit of money selling water. Again, depending on the well. Now, how much money you can make up there, how much money you can make off of these water wells and selling to oil field companies, I've seen people make up to over $1 million, $2 million just selling water. Mind-blowing, I know. It's a lot of money, right, for just the average Joe who has land and has a big water well. Right, that's crazy, right? Over $1 million, $2 million. You can be a millionaire just by selling water. So again, that's one way to make money off your land. The second way is going to be if you own the mineral rights, you can actually sell the mineral rights outright, or you can take a royalty or a cut to allow a company or a lease crew to come out and set shop on your property, basically. So taking a royalty is typically the best way to do it if you are going to do it. Now, again, none of this is financial advice. Check if this is something that you're interested in, and check about the effects it may have on your land as well. Because again, if you don't want no oil spills happening on your property as well. But for people who are sometimes in a bind, or someone who is just buying land to invest, these are always options as well. But again, you can basically lease out their rights. You can lease out your rights to the minerals, and they will pay you a percentage of whatever they extract from the ground. So that's two ways you can make money. That typically doesn't involve a huge investment, or it can involve a huge investment if you decide to drill a water well. Now, the water wells, back to the water wells, they can get up to over $100,000 to drill a huge water well sufficient for an oil company. But yeah, the next way, and some of the, I guess, easier entry things to do, opening up your property as a hunting property. So there's two different ways you can go about this. So I've done the first one I'm going to tell you, and I haven't done the second one, but I've done the first one, and that's going to be selling hunts on a daily basis, or the number of hunters. You can make good money. You can make over $1,000 a day, $2,000, $3,000 a day doing this, depending on the size of the property. So You can sell deer hunts, you can sell hog hunts, turkey hunts, dove hunts, pretty much any kind of animals in your region that are okay to hunt, basically. Check your county and your state and make sure that all this stuff is legal if you do plan on doing this. But that's one way to do it. Second way to do it is to lease out the rights to access that property at any given time. That's a little bit more passive way. You're going to make probably less money, but it's going to take less work and less of your time doing it like this. So how that works is typically you'll set up a lease, usually from the hunting season, or I've also seen leases where they go for a full 365 days or a full year. Kind of up to you, whatever you want to do. And that is usually charged by the hunter, and depending on how many acres you have is how many hunters you can typically have. So, you know, there's a kind of like a rule of thumb. It's not really a law, but it's like a rule of thumb for the amount of acreage you have. But it also depends on the type of acreage you have. If you have a lot of open spaces, a lot of open land, and not as much brush, typically want to have less hunters, because there's a higher chance of a bullet, you know, ricocheting or going far if there's not a lot of things to obstruct the property as well. So just little things to kind of know. But yeah, you will make less money doing that typically than selling hunts individually, but it does take less time and less effort on your end. So if time's important to you, but you still want to make some money, that's probably a good way to go. If you're, you know, not stretched for time and you want to make the most amount of money, selling hunts individually is probably more profitable as well for you. Now, another way that you can make money with your land, and I haven't done this, but it's been an idea kind of roaming around in my head, and that's going to be leasing out your space for RVs to park. There's a lot of people who have even asked me as well if I would be open to allowing them to store their RVs on my property. In exchange, they would pay me a monthly fee, to basically a storage fee, to store their RVs on my property. Now, I don't do it because I don't want to be responsible if anything happens. I'm not set up for that, but it is a generally passive way to get it done. I would obviously install security cameras and gate codes and things like that, and kind of better the situation, right? So reduces liability on both parts. You have cameras for security, you have gate codes. Only people who are supposed to be in there hopefully would only be in there. But that is another way you can make money with vacant land that doesn't take a huge investment. You can even build out carports, have them shaded, or to protect from the elements, hail, rain, wind, whatever, and you can charge a little bit more. You can charge a little bit more of a premium because now you have a little bit of protection from the sun, especially here in Texas. But you also have protection from the hail and all of that good stuff. So there are ways to increase the value instead of just having like an open piece of land and letting someone park their RV there. So there are different ways you can do it to increase the value proposition from your stance as the landowner. Now I'm gonna go ahead and stop it there. It could go on all day about different ways to make money with land, but the video would be way too long. So if you gained any value from this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I will see you guys in the next one. Be careful, be good, take care, God bless. Bye-bye.